Let me move to my tip number 7. I have seen several emails where there are many topics in an email. If you give people a chance, they will bulletize, they'll make some 10 topics, 15 topics in one email and send it out to everybody else. All 10, 15 topics will be totally unrelated. Okay? Now let's look at some of the examples. I received an email from somebody. I did not receive any further update from you. I hope everything is going as planned. Meanwhile, I've got some, something for your comments, okay? And then the next one is another subject regarding Pradeep. We have informed the client about his move to France. This is 2 subjects. You have to make it as 1 subject, okay? Similarly, somebody sends me I got another question. Okay. Rahul Mishra says, how important is it to put email addresses based on rank of address while addressing more than one person in an email? Good question, Rahul. If you can hold on for a second, I'll get the answer to your question. Okay. Now, Datta Tekale says, but in the professional, we should follow the email as first communication as per the work perspective, right? Okay, that's a good question. It depends on what you want to do, Datta. My point is, if you're using email to document something and send it to the other person, yes, you have to follow email as a protocol. But if your email is meant to communicate something, okay, all I'm asking you is, please figure out if there's another way of communicating. Okay, then Raja Rama Rao asked me a question. Many times we have to keep the trail on discussions. What do you suggest? It's a very good question, Raja Ram. Thanks for that. I think you are right. Many times we have to keep a trail on discussions. But the point is, please understand, after some time, what happens is go back to your mail and check. You have to keep a trail on the discussions, but after 2 or 3, discussion threads, the topic is totally different than what you're actually going to discuss. Some have taken the topic off tangent. That's what happens. So as long as you are keeping the thread correct, okay, you have to keep the discussions. But my experience says that the thread just goes away. Okay. Now Muthukumar asks me a question. If I want to send resume to one company, which subject was good? Company means which subject was good. If I want to send resume to one company, which subject was good? Okay, that's a good question. Let me hold that question for a while. Okay. 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 Now, some of you asked some relevant about using and CC effectively and BCc carefully, So I want to share with you my tip number 8 for you guys. Okay. How do you use and CC effectively and BCc carefully? First of all, if you're going to send an email to somebody, you have to put that person's name in to field when one of these conditions are true. Okay, first one, you are assigning an action item to that person. Okay. Second, info in that mail is important for that person. 3, you want the person to take some action. Okay, you may not be assigning an action item, but you want that person to take an action. Okay, these are the 3 reasons in which I would recommend you to put a receiver's name to field. Okay. If you want to send an email to somebody, now let's talk about why CC field is there. Okay. Now CC field is there because you want somebody to know, but no action is required. Okay. You are not assigning any action. If you're not assigning the person any action, and you should put the person CC. 2, Many people use filters. For example, I use a filter. If the mail does not, if I am not on the two in the mail, okay, I put all of them in a separate folder and I look at it when I have time. So effectively, if you're going to send me a mail with my name CC'd on that particular mail, and if you're expecting me to respond within 24 hours because this is assigned to me, chances are that I would not be responding. Okay? Avoid CC field if you can. Use forward instead. Now, what is the BCC? You want a blind carbon copy. That means you want the people in the to field and the CCC field not to know whom you're sending that mail. Now, what happens is that when you send the BCC, that guy who is going to receive that mail is going to forward it to somebody else who may be on the to or C list. Now, what happens? It's going to backfire. You're going to tell about a particular customer, how you handle a particular customer situation, and the customer was not happy with you. You want to say, okay, the customer was not happy with us, and you write that in the hope that you will not want to let that customer see it, and your boss by mistake forwards it to that customer. It happens all the time. Okay, so okay. Now, also, in an office, there are politics, okay? Please remember, when I say office, it could be your own office, or it could be between your office and your customers, your office and your partner's office, okay? Now, here are the emotions that you should be careful about when you use to CC and BCC. If you mail me something and copy my boss, I'm going to be upset. Unless you have a reason to copy my boss, please be clear why you're copying my boss. That's the emotion, okay? If you respond to an email, the first point was if you initiate an email, okay? The second point is if you respond to an email from me in which my boss is already there in the copy, I'm okay. You should do that. Third point, if you CC my boss in an email that you're sending me, I will stop doing business with you. I know a colleague of mine who used to BCC every mail to the founder of the company, okay? And a lot of people never used to like that guy's attitude because, they were thinking that this guy is going to talk behind their back all the time. And that's the attitude. That's the emotion of the people. So please be aware of this, okay? Now there's a question. Let me hold on here. Okay. Okay. I think it's all answered question. Let me move to my next tip. Tip number 9. Okay. Usage of capitals and bold. Capitals and bold or bold underline convey unintentional emotions. Capitals in written language could mean that you're shouting at somebody. Bold means you're ordering somebody. These are the emotions that they communicate. Now let's look at one example, okay? Here is an email with the subject says proposal, please review and respond. Dear ABC, as discussed, please find a attached proposal. Please review and respond by this week with your comments. That's the email. Now, if I want to write this email in a different way, just respond by this week in bold. Do you know what is the emotion this is communicating? Okay, this particular mail, in this, I am the receiver of this email. If I am ABC, I am expecting, I'm reading that Rajesh is telling me to respond before end of the week. He's ordering me. I don't like it. That's the problem. Okay? Okay. So I have a question here from Anubhava where he says, Anubhav Nandi says that please let me know if there are more than one recipients, then what is the best way to write an email? Okay, very good question. Okay, when there are more than one recipients in an email, what is the best way to write an email? Here is my suggestion to you. First of all, if you're writing an email to more than 5 or 6 people, you have to be clear in your mind what is the purpose. Okay? If you're not clear about the purpose, you will be just doing action, writing email without any result. 8 hours of your productive time, you will spend maybe 2 hours writing emails. Those 2 hours are sheer waste. Be clear about your purpose. Okay, we talked about what the purpose that you have. If you're selling something, your reporting status is a general hello email. Okay, what is it that you're doing? You have to be very clear. If you're selling something, if you're reporting status, and if you have to send it to many people, that's okay. Accept it. Okay, but will that email, sending email to many people, trigger multiple email chains? Okay, because you're sending something on a sensitive topic, then you please be clear about what you're going to send. Okay. Now there's another question here which is that this comes from Rakesh Raut. Sometimes using BCC makes sense. As an example, software release email to 1,000 different users. To avoid reply all the 1,000 users and to then to discontinue chain mail. Absolutely right, Rakesh. You're absolutely right. You want just as information to be sent across saying that a software release has been done. Okay, you do that and BCC makes sense. Absolutely right. I agree with you. Okay. Another question from Kuntal Jain. Generally in CC, bosses emails of both sides are stated. Is it appropriate to do so? Okay. I don't think I have understood this question. I'll park it for the moment. Okay. Another question I've got, which is a good way to send the multiple attachments? Okay, that's a good question. As far as Jagadish Mukra, as far as my suggestion to you goes, I don't have the tip in my top 15 tips because that's the 16th tip that I attachment that you need to send. It's always better if you use something like a Dropbox or some other facility like that and give a link. There are advantages. Advantages is, when somebody downloads, you know who has downloaded. Second thing is, you don't send a huge file in an email which can clog up that recipient server. Okay. Okay. Kuntal Jain asked me another question. If subject email is not good, should we reply while changing subject of email? Okay. I think the point is, the subject email is not good. Should we reply while changing subject of email? Okay. My point to you is, if you are changing the topic subject, okay, please do it, because people will appreciate when there is more accuracy. Okay. But if you feel that the person who has initiated that mail will get offended because you change subject, please be careful about that. Okay, I think I have got a lot more questions, but maybe I'll wait for these questions. Wait till I finish some more slides, and then perhaps get back. I hope you guys can hold on for a second. Let me go to my next tip number 10. Okay. Tip number 10 is limiting message to one screen. I did some research on my own Outlook. Okay, and I'm going to share you a screen here which talks about how my Outlook screen looks like. Okay, this is how my Outlook screen looks like. It's a snapshot of my Outlook screen. Okay, so I have some inbox, outbox things here. I've got my inbox mails here. I've got my calendar here. I got my to-do tasks here and all that stuff. Okay, and I've got my preview pane here. And here is, I got my preview pane here, and I counted. This is the window that I can read at any point of time, unless I double click on it, open up the window in a new box and things like that. What I calculated is, in this, you can write about 180 words of email. So if you want to grab anybody's attention, remember, like Twitter, 145 characters. Email, not more than 180 words. Please limit your message to one screen to be more effective in your emails. Okay? Now, I want to talk to you about my next tip, tip number 11. review emails before sending. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you an email, one line from an email, and I'm going to explain to you what is the problem with this thing. Okay, here is an email where this is sentences in that email. Okay, let me read it out for you. I am sending this information upfront to our meeting so that I can be of help with clarifications to you queries, if any. Okay, now first of all, there are two mistakes. To your queries, okay, spelling mistake. Let's ignore that. Do you see this red word, upfront to a meeting? Okay, now please understand, if you don't review the mail, the receiver of this message reads your email in a totally different way. Okay, and do you know why? The word upfront has a different meaning. But before I go there, let me explain to you what the sender intended. What the sender wanted to say was, okay, here is some information. I'm going to send it to you before our meeting. So when we meet, if you have any clarifications, I can clarify. That is the message. Okay. So upfront, he's using it like a word which meant before. Okay. But unfortunately for him, the dictionary meaning of upfront is to insult intentionally, especially openly. Okay. So if I'm reading this mail, I'm sending this information to insult you before our meeting so that I can be of help with clarifications to your queries, if any. That means if you have any query on the insult what I've given, I can clarify. Just understand, you know, this is absolutely incorrect. Okay, and you can catch it if you just do a simple review of your mail, and you don't have to be an English language master. You can get your review tools, spell check, grammar check to do this work for you. Okay, please be careful. Okay, you can screw up relationships if you do something unintentionally like this. Okay. Another of my important tips for you. I mean, most of us, you know, as Indians, you know, we have our language. All our languages in India are derived from Sanskrit, and in Sanskrit, we construct our sentences in exactly opposite way that English constructs. Okay. We construct our sentences as subject, object, verb. Okay, whereas English does subject, verb, object. Okay. Now, unfortunately for us, we have to write emails in English, and you have to focus on eliminating passive voice. Most of us Indians, when we speak in passive voice. So we write in passive voice. Okay, so that's not acceptable in international business situations. You got to be direct. Okay, you got to be frank. You got to be to the point. That means you got to use active voice. Okay, let me show you a cartoon which I picked up. Here is a doctor who is explaining to the patient. Okay, well, yes, I suppose I could test results in plain English, but then you would know how sick you are. Very clear. You know, you got to straight talk. If you want to do something in plain English, it's very easy for people to understand, even if it is very difficult topic like a medical situation, medical problem. So my tip number 12, tip number 11, ladies and gentlemen, you got to be using active voice and straight talk. An example of active voice and passive voice, it's here, right here up on the screen for you to look at. Let me move to my number 12. Okay, we talked about this. Don't email when you are emotionally charged. Okay, why you should not email when you are emotionally charged? First of all, your language would be rude. Whether you like it or not, you know, your thoughts will get reflected in your language. Your grammar may not be correct. You'll make mistakes. You are in such a tearing hurry that you will not care. And when you don't care, it comes across that you are not a professional. Last, but very, very important, you will not be clear about the purpose. I know a lot of people who written emails when they were angry only to regret that they did not know what they were writing before. So please don't email when you're emotionally charged. Okay, now my tip number 13. Okay. Well, this is a very interesting tip. Okay, I have seen a lot of people misspell names of people or company names. When somebody misspells your name incorrectly, you know, you'll end up thinking, hey, this guy doesn't even care about me, right? Now, there are names, especially in the international context, where if you misspell, the meaning will be totally different. Let me share with you. I had a colleague called Brian, okay? People used to refer to him as Brain. Just imagine you getting a mail, your name is Brian, you getting a mail, Dear Brain. Would you like it? Another guy, a Finnish guy, he writes his name as Yrjo, Y-R-J-O, and you write his name as Yrjo, Y-I-R-Y-O. Maybe it's got a totally different meaning in Finnish. Lisa, that's how she spells her name, L with a double I. You write Lissa or Lisa. This has got totally nothing. You know, Lisa doesn't recognize her name as Lissa or Lisa. Ryan. Ryan is an English name. And Ryan, we Indians, we write like this, Ryan or Ryan. Okay? Schneider Electric is the name of a company. Okay? Electric, you write it like this. Electric should be written like this. Accenture, you write Accenture. Abhijit with a single I, Abhijit. Jean-Claude, it's a French name. Jean-Claude writes his name with a hyphen here, and you write Jean space Claude. What is his first name? What is his last name? You don't know. This one is my favorite, okay? I have a Spanish colleague of mine. His name is Diego. And if you write die space go, I don't think Diego appreciates it. Okay, now let me pause here for a while and perhaps get to a few questions before I complete my other two more tips. Okay, I'm just going through the questions. Okay, there is a question from Rakesh Raut regarding product demo subject. It could be modified to short and sweet as product and contact details for demo. Correct, Rakesh. Thanks for the tip. Okay. Next question from Shruti Kaushik Nanduri. When you have a very short message to convey, you can use the M or end of message technique. This is possible when you can put all the relevant information in the subject line followed by letters EOM. This lets the recipient know that he or she doesn't even have to open the email. All the information is right there. Absolutely right. Thank you, Shruti, for the tip. Okay. Then there's a question from Vibhuti Kumar, interesting question. How to address the mail for a customer where I'm updating status on project and some action need to be taken from my manager? Should I send two different email or one mail? Request me to send two separate emails for you to be more effective. Okay. Next one, Rakesh Raut asked me a question. How can we highlight certain message in the email body without mail? Some of the highlighting very well. Please understand that. Okay. Nitin Joshi has a question. I used to end my emails with a ... But after one of my colleague from HK pointed out that immediately after I stopped doing so. So just want to know how does that convey some kind of unintentional emotions like capitals and bold. Well, ... means if I were to read without even understanding what mail that you sent, it means that you are unsure of your email, Nitin. So you got to be clear. If it is a question mark, put a question mark. If it's a sentence that you're communicating, put a full stop. ... shows you are unsure of what you're saying. Okay. Next question from Sailesh Balaramahanti. Hey Rajesh, how do we try and bring the notice of the reader to a specific sentence or section of the email? I currently use bold or underline. Apparently I'm wrong. Sailesh, I don't say that you are wrong. All I'm saying is you be clear. Maybe you're writing too much in your email that your recipient is not even noticing what is the most important sentence. Okay, be very clear what you write. Okay. Now, another question from Akhilesh. Hey Rajesh, there can be cases when the email becomes long and you want to highlight some points which are important and you want to highlight it for the readers. How would you suggest to do the same? First of all, please don't write long emails. If you want to highlight some points, figure out if you can break it down into multiple emails. Or, more importantly, if you have to send as one report, okay, send an attachment. Make a proper professional report, a 1-page, 3-page, 25-page Word document and send it like a report. Don't write like a long email to people. People don't have time. People need to know what is the subject, what action they need to take, and where are the details. Just follow that. Make sure that the subject is specific. Make sure that you're communicating what actions they need to take, and if they need background information, show them where to find the background information. But don't put the background information in the email. Okay. Okay. I'm going to stop here and take a few more slides before I finish off my rest of my other questions here. Okay. So, okay. Tip number 14. Okay. Here I'm going to tell you, first of all, we started off by saying think before you write an email, and I want to kind of give you a tip which I have practiced successfully in my organizations and improved my productivity. So if you care for your productivity, you might want to listen to this, although I'm not saying that this might work for you. Okay, here is what I have done. From 1st January 2012, every Tuesday, I refrain from sending internal mails. I don't send mails to anybody within my organization. So in the process, I gained roughly 2 hours on Tuesday. And so far, nobody noticed any major impact of this. Okay? Now, assume that you're going to not write any email on one day. Okay? 2 hours per day means roughly 5% improvement in your productivity. 2 hours 2 hours per day, you don't write emails, you do some other productive work, 20 working days in a month, that's 5%, 10%. 10% improvement in productivity. Now what is the benefit? Okay, it helps me to walk across to my colleague's desk or pick up a phone or use IM or video conference to communicate with a colleague. Now, by doing so, I'm actually building relationships with people. Email is very, very impersonal. Just the fact that I'm making an effort to go walk across to them and ask them about the status of a project. Okay? I have caught that guy's attention better than sending out an email. Maybe I've had a cup of tea with him together and realized that both of us have the same interests. That's what happens. Okay? Now, one more thing. Remember, you are not indispensable in any organization. Okay? And remember this, even if you don't mail for a day, business will go on as usual, if not better. Okay? Try this technique. I'm pretty sure it will improve your productivity. I'm pretty sure your bosses will be happy. I'm pretty sure your customers will be happy. Okay? Now, tip number 15.